from Goa, Dr. Digambar Naik, who actually fought this from Goa, Dr. Digambar Naik, who actually fought the severe COVID-19 infection, which he contested with, of course, wisdom and valor. And to give you a brief introduction about him before we actually bring him on stage, the virtual stage, is Dr. Digambar Naik is one of the best cardiometabolic physicians in the country. He's a senior faculty and organizer in cardiology, emergency medicine, echocardiography, endocrinology, and various physician conferences. He's the founder of Vrindavan Group of Hospitals, Vrindavan Nursing Home, Nursing College, Vrindavan Paramedical Institute, and many healthcare programs. He's, of course, with his own venture that is Tempo Healthcare, which where he treats has been treating so many thousands of patients for several now almost more than 3 decades that he has been actually taking care of his patients. He has led a number of medical associations like the IMA, Goa Medical Council, GMA, and at present he is the chairman of the Goa Association of Physicians. He is Secretary General of the Emergency Medicine India. He's a very active executive member for several years at the Red Cross, senior Rotarian with many Rotary achievements. He's been a major donor with Rotary International and an active researcher with many credible contributions that he has really made. Also, he's a medical educationist. He has created several medical videos, articles, in national and international magazines, several TV shows, and many more educational programs. And his book, in fact, Alert, Active, Alive at 100, is a great guide for all of us to live a long life without falling sick. And I'm sure learnings that he has given in this book has, of course, been the main reason that he still is here, hale and hearty, and is going to share so much with us today. And he's blessed with wife Mangala and 2 children, Dr. Richa and Dr. Shalat. So a proud privilege to have him. For those who might be wondering who I am, of course, I'm Rajshri Gadgil. I have about 20 years of global experience in nutrition formulations, continuing medical education, business, marketing strategy, and more. And I'm a nutrition expert, founder, and CEO of TrueWell Integrative Healthcare Centers, as well as RLT Energy Nutrition Healthcare Private Limited. But it's really not about me today. It is about our today's personality, and such a proud privilege, sir, to be with you. Dr. Naik, we have him here. And sir, it's so good to see you back hale and hearty, and you're already started looking after your patients again. I'm sure a lot of them are so very happy and already have expressed that to you. Would you first like to say a few words, because we would want to, of course, know how did this happen to you, because given the fact that you're one of the most careful doctors, and you have been a part of actually creating algorithms for so many of these diseases. How has this whole thing been? How are you feeling being here today with us?
Hi, Rajeshri. Good evening. Okay, nice to see your beautiful face and beautiful voice. You're looking gorgeous today. Okay, now yes, I do need. I'm happy to share some of my thoughts, some of my learnings that came with personally experiencing this disease. Right from the beginning, I have been guiding people. I have been writing articles how to prevent a disease like COVID and even if you get it, how to take care of it, right? For the last 9 months, right from March itself, I've been doing that. Besides that, even after being 65, when the government of Goa said people during 65, better now stop your practice, we don't want you to die. I've been still in continuous practice all throughout. And I didn't pick up COVID from my clinic. Nobody in
Yes.
my clinic has got COVID. Okay, I picked it up from a social accident. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so that's exactly what has happened. So I've been guiding people, writing articles, giving them videos, giving them guidelines, creating all the way how to treat it in stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. And I have been encouraging people, and I've got more than hundreds of patients who have been whom I'm managing from home. I'm not managing COVID patients inside the hospital. Okay. So, and for me to get is a surprise to everybody, and everybody asked me, how do we get it? It was very, very simple. That one day, me and my wife, we were just traveling, and on the way, one of our friend phoned up, said, my mother has got a cancer of ovary with secondaries in the lung, and we would like to take doctor's opinion. So she was actually asking for an appointment so that we could fix up an appointment. And we were very, very close to their house. So what my wife said, we'll just drop inside and come. And we were on a very relaxed social evening. So when I'm a relaxed social evening, I don't think of patients usually. So there was no thought. We were wearing a mask. So I said, okay, fine, we'll drop in. We just dropped in there. I sat next to the patient, started explaining to the patient. And in the next few minutes, I saw myself talking to 7, 8 people,
Oh,
all of them from the same house, and they were all without mask, and they were practically bending on me, and they had number of queries to be answered, and I was freely answering them. And I realized at that time, I even removed the mask so that they could hear my talks properly, so that I really wanted to console them nicely and give them an idea. Still, you don't have to, even at this stage, you don't have to worry. She is going to be all right. I will give you the way how she becomes all right. I'll give you the doctors who will see that she is okay. So as these things happen, and we came out, when we came out on the third day, we heard that there was a positive case in that house. Then I said, we have had a exposure. But I was taking HCQ and ivermectin. Okay, my wife was taking, my son was taking. So we were all mixed up together. Nothing happened to my son. He never became positive. My wife, for the first day itself, became positive. I was negative when the fever started. Fever exactly started on the 5th day. Exactly on the 5th day, what was the fever? Just 99.5 degrees. I had a little bit of chills. And just because I was alert of this exposure, I said, nah, this need to be watched. I took a paracetamol, and then it was okay. For next 3, 4, 5 days, it was okay. I had no problem. On the 5th, no, once the chills developed, I started with the full treatment. That was ivermectin, HCQ, then your azithromycin, and the full treatment, including a treatment for coagulation, anticoagulation treatment, and zinc and vitamin C, vitamin D, the hopeful cocktail that we were talking about during those times. I
oh,
started the whole cocktail myself. Nothing happened to my wife. She was never had developed any symptom. After 5 days treatment, she stopped the whole treatment and she was perfect. On the 5th day, I also kept the the oxygenator in my house. Suppose something happens. On the 5th day, evening, just around 8 o'clock, I started, it was around, 8 o'clock, I started feeling little breathless. I took my SpO2, it was coming down. It was 90, 80, 85. Immediately I connected myself to oxygen and started with my breathing and all those sort of things, thinking that to see if I can control myself. But I realized slowly that my oxygen requirement was slowly rising. Then I said, no, I need a further help. Then I phoned up my friend, Dr. Oscar here, and said, this is what is happening. He insisted that I should and go to the hospital. So immediately we went to the hospital, did a CT scan. CT score was just 6 by 25, which is not big at all. But I was breathless, so I stayed into the COVID. And in the COVID, you are alone there. So with all this problem, there's no one to help you. 30, 40 patients. Patients are bad. Patients are scared. Patients are anxious. Patients are frightened themselves. And the 5, 6 nurses moving around here and there. Okay. There are 1 or 2 doctors moving around. And they're busy. They're absolutely busy. And people are on drips. So this is exactly the situation was inside. But I was pretty confident. So I walked in very confidently. Okay, so let's see what happens. I said, I will enjoy my experience as a patient with you. My team of doctors were exceedingly good. The whole hospital was ready to help me. They all came out. They were all ready to help me. So this is how it all began. So
Wow.
this is how, in spite of so many precautions, in spite of
Yes.
teaching people how to prevent, I ended up with a very simple mistake. And I say this because I don't want people to repeat such mistakes which do happen here and there.
So, but the dilemma, one thing, the dilemma between being a doctor who has always been there for his patients and, your own personal security. I mean, that decision was between that, and you did the obvious to help the patient. And unfortunately, you met with this accident because people around were not careful. So, which is what we keep telling everyone, that they all need to wear masks and take care. But such a dilemma that you faced, and you had to face such a bad situation. But one thing I would like to even initially say that, uh, having gone through all this, and having been a doctor of your stature, you're coming here, and, you're candidly talking about it and telling us, about the mistakes, about the whole trauma that patients around go through, and how you were also, now in that situation. So we really appreciate that, and now we know how you really caught it. But if you would like to, because tell us, because of course,
I didn't have a dilemma. I entered my medical life in 1975.
yeah,
It's 45 years now. I don't think I've fallen sick, maybe for a day or two or here and there. Okay. 45
yes,
years I've been working day in and day out.
yes,
So that's the one part of it. So I'm committed to my medical practice. That's number one. Secondly, I had a confidence that I will be able to prevent it. I had
yes,
that confidence because I knew exactly what was to be done. On
yes,
every small thing, even how to take steam inhalation, I used to talk, because
yeah,
people have burned their face with steam inhalation. Okay, people
yes,
always tend to overdo it, and hundreds of kadas, and people have wasted their money like hell.
yes,
And all these simple things, I knew I should talk science. So I had that confidence that nothing should happen to me. So also I had that commitment. So
yes.
that little, and this is what I call it as an accident. This just happened.
Yes, yes. So while you're saying that, and this really, with the confidence that you actually did go to the hospital also, but was there a situation where things really started going very severe? Tell us about it, and how then through that situation, was there any fear around? Sort of did not you, because we know that you don't fear anything, but the doctors around you and people who were treating you, were they really anxious about the way situations was actually getting more severe with you?
Okay, day one was good to me. Okay, I went there with all the confidence. Day two was little strenuous. And day one, by night, I needed almost about 10 liters of oxygen to keep myself going on. Day two was not remaining above 90. It was remaining less than 90 in spite of 10 liters. So we went to 20 liters. We went on a higher stage of oxygen. So this was the day 2. They increased the dose of steroids to a very high level. That's what the protocols say. Na? If you don't respond to 40 milligrams, keep on increasing your steroids. Okay. And this was happening. Day 3 was equally bad. By the end of day 3 and day 4, everybody was worried. The whole team was worried. And they had a question, and I asked them, look, if you look at my picture in CT scan, it does not match with my picture in so obviously there's something else. And they are all sitting down and they're trying to find out something else. Okay. All up to the level, they thought perhaps this can be a methemoglobinemia induced by HCQ. Some rare cases were known. I told them at that time, I once in this 45 years, I saw a patient of methemoglobinemia. When you are taking the blood, looking at the color of the blood, I can tell you, this is not a methemoglobinemia. Okay. So this is how I told them straight. So it went on. By 4th or 5th day, yes, everyone was worried. And at that time, I started contacting my friends outside, my colleagues outside. And I talked to a number of people who have been actually treating COVID patients. And that is where they insisted on me, why do the doctor, tell your doctor to start vitamin C in high dose. And that was the only advice I got from all other doctors. We have Dr. Anande, who was brought to Goa especially for our central minister, Shripad Naik, when he had COVID. A good friend of mine, I was in personal touch with him. He only said one thing, doctor, ask your doctors to start vitamin C in high dose. I was taking vitamin C. I was just taking 1 gram of vitamin C 6 hourly. IV. I was taking it IV. But he said, no, not 1 gram. It should be 100 grams of vitamin C in 24 hours. So while this was there, none of my doctors in the team believed it. None of the doctors in the team wanted it because they had never ever started vitamin C in Goa. So this was never there. So it went on for 3 days. On the third day, 3 days after this discussion, that is almost about 7th, 8th day, when I was bad, and these doctors talked to them and told them, we will take the responsibility of any side effect that occurs because of vitamin C. And Dr. Anande talked to my team also and told them, even if you go to Dr. Naik and he'll sign for this, he said. Okay. Then they were ready to accept the challenge that vitamin C, to give that dose of vitamin C. And it was not available anywhere in Goa. Dr. Lenny from Goa, who's been using vitamin C in that sort of doses, had some injections with him. He immediately sent it to me in the hospital. Then the next day he got it organized, and we got the whole kit or a whole dose for ourselves. Okay, it's only then, I still remember when the vitamin C was being given, all the 5 doctors of the COVID unit were there to see what is this now, vitamin C being delivered in such a high dose. It was 25 milligrams IV to be taken. It to be taken within half an hour. So that was the thing. So, but the moment first dose I took around 8 o'clock in the evening, second dose came to around 2 o'clock in the morning. Third dose, by the time I could take the third dose, I knew I was responding. Internally, I knew there's nothing. So when the consultant walked in, he could spontaneously get a smile from me. I'm known for my smiley doctor. So spontaneously, he got a smile. He says, now I see, Digambar, you are in your normal self. Okay. So this is how the story changed. And then I took it for full 5 days. And even that fibrosis and all, I recovered from a total lung problem. But let me tell you, I had complications all over. Even when I walked in on the 15th day out of the hospital, 15 days in the hospital, and I walked out, I could not stand myself. My wife had to support me. Muscles were wasted. Skin was totally without subcutaneous fat, and lots of other problems. The thyroid was deranged. Liver functions tests were deranged. Every organ was affected. Every organ. Yes, it was due to a cytokine storm, as well as due to such a high dose of steroids that I had to take for my condition at that time. And when I walked out, they told me, you will take minimum 3 months now to go back into your clinic. And I
Yeah.
was exactly on the 10th, the 9th day, I told my secretary, you can take my appointment. I will be in the clinic tomorrow. And from that day itself, on the 9th day, I was here in the clinic.
Wow. So it is, as of course, as a nutrition expert, for me, it is really nice to know that you made people, actually give you a high dose vitamin C, and it is a bit surprising that people around it, you didn't know about it, but it was amazing that it actually started. You responded to it. You had to. So somewhere we also keep talking about the cytokine storm, and we keep talking about the virus not really being the one which is actually causing the mortalities that are occurring in the country today. And I know you have been talking to me and saying that every patient really has a right to get out of this situation and recover from this infection. So would you like to throw light on that?
Okay. First of all, I would repeat this word. All of us may get COVID. That all depends upon. If you look at Goa today, it's flocked with tourists. Okay.
Yes.
Today they went on one of the casinos and they found 30 people on the employees on the casino are positive. Okay. So these are the situations today. You are finding the situation in Delhi after the Diwali.
Yes.
People are not going to stop. It's enough of time for 9 months. It was people that had no work.
Yes.
They won't stop. And I personally believe there is no point in putting a lockdown again. No, absolutely no logical point.
Yes.
You have to first survive. If I
Correct.
can't survive, where is the worry? And
Yes.
I would next step to it is nobody, if managed properly in COVID, should die today. Nobody. The medical know-how is so good. Our doctors are so well trained, well prepared, are confident, are taking the responsibility, they're committed. Okay. They should be able to save everybody who walks into that COVID hole. I call it COVID hole. I don't call it COVID ward or COVID ICU. Because once you go inside, either you recover and go to your family, or you are dead and you are taken to the mortuary. Your family also cannot see you, cannot bid you goodbye. So I call it an absolute COVID hole. And the situation there, then just outside the door of the COVID, it is like you are going into a hole of a mouse. It is frightening. There is a definite partition between people outside and people inside. In all the ways, that's the way it has been managing. It is being managed, and I do say few things there need to be changed also. So I would definitely say number one, we may not be able to prevent it with so many things. We are spending lots of money cleaning surfaces and cleaning our instruments, sterilizing my room, and all those sort of things. Most of the patients I have gone through, they got their COVID through personal contacts, and I'm sure they are getting this through the droplets which come out during a normal talk. This is how people have been getting it. And we are wasting a huge money on cleaning everything, spraying this, spraying that. I don't think COVID those are the major sources. We have to keep our social distancing. And wear an average good mask in a proper way. Most of the time when we wear a mask, we keep on touching our nose. It irritates your nose and people are opening their nose off and on. So that is where, even if you worn the mask, you're not worn the mask properly. These two things are very, very vital, and avoiding crowd is what matters. Yes, we need to avoid crowd. Okay, these are the things. Now that the tourists are coming into Goa, we are moving. Yes, we are expecting a surge in the case, etc. That may be a second or a third surge. But by that time, I presume we have the vaccines coming in. We also have the herd immunity. There are signs of herd immunity seen in families with people who have never been positive, have been antibodies have been detected inside them. So obviously a herd immunity is setting in. So next 3 months anyway is going to be a different story. And I think we should be able to conquer it. Even if we are talking so much about death, but if you look at Goa, the number of deaths are not more than 1%, in spite of all these things. So I don't think we should worry about so-called deaths, because you are not dying of virus. If the virus has affected you, so today I got my virus, I will, for 5 days will go as incubation period. Then I will develop fever or some symptoms on day 5th. And by day 10, your virus is always dead. You don't have a virus in your body by day 10, maximum. Whether you have been treating yourself or whether you're not being treating yourself. If you take your antivirals, within those time, yes, they might help you. But even if you don't take antiviral, your body kills the virus by that time. And see, the virus is not 1 and 2. The virus particles are in trillions by that time. And these trillion dead virus particles are enough to set in this cytokine storm. What is a cytokine storm? We talk about high immunity, good immunity, boosting immunity. I'll take this kada, that kada, this product, that product. People keep on swallowing and thinking that they will have immunity. Absolutely no. Immunity is something different. It's like your defense system of your country.
Yes.
You have the army, you have the navy, you have the air force. So if Pakistan attacks India, then you're firing at Pakistan straight. Okay, China attacks, then you can fight 2 and 2. If somebody's a third party comes, then you don't know from where the firing is coming. What will happen is all three will start firing erratically. That's exactly what happens. The load of virus is such, and the reactions of virus is such, our immune system becomes erratic. It is actually hyper immune response, but an erratic immune response. That is a cytokine storm. And once you have that sort of a reaction inside your system and it goes on, it damages or destroys many of your organs. And most of the people, they are dying. I'm telling you, they are not dying of a lung problem. They are dying of a heart problem, which many of us were not exactly looking at. They are dying of an endocrine problem. They are dying of a thyroid, which is not working properly. So all these organs, when they don't function properly, and inside, if you go inside the COVID hole, there are only people dealing with COVID. There are no cardiologists expert there to look at the heart properly. There are no nephrologists there to look at the kidneys properly. There are no other specialists there to look at all these things properly. So all these things go into a haywire. The treatment goes into haywire. Besides this, there are so many patients, so many few doctors, so few nurses. So they all tend to not understand the things properly. I know it because I've been inside. That's why one of the basic criteria I have to put today, and I'm going to make it, even write it down, is there must be an attendant who can just go to the doctor. Doctor, my patient is having this. What can I do, or can you attend it? Because if you press the bell, by the time somebody who's free comes, it's a long time. This is exactly just doesn't happen in the correct way. So this is what happens in COVID. All that we got to do is maintain or understand or treat this cytokine storm properly. First thing is we must not allow the person to go into cytokine storm. That's the first thing. Secondly, if at all, today we can speculate. If you look at biochemical picture, you can speculate, yes, there is a possibility that this particular person will go into cytokine storm, and we can start treating them early. And if we manage to do that, if we manage to treat them early, I'm sure we can all avoid, and we can all avoid a death. I would still insist nobody should die. He dies because of some negligence from him. He dies because of some negligence from all of us. He just doesn't die because he's not responded to medicine, because he's got so much of medicine at his disposal now.
Yeah.
And people who are giving vitamin C, they will tell you, our patients are cured and gone, and we have not even used steroids. Okay, and if you can avoid that dose of steroids, you are definitely on a much better platform with the people.
Great. So, I mean, these are really insights not only for we common people, but I think learnings for also your fraternity? I mean, I of course wanted to ask you that question, but you have elaborately explained it how that your fraternity is of course doing a great job. I mean, they have been toiling the last 8, 10 months for all of us, and so many learnings have been incorporated, and there are newer learnings. So I think when a person like you comes out and gives these insights, and you have been sharing this on many platforms in
Yeah.
many ways, so that they can actually learn out of your deeper wisdom, which we are evidently seeing here right now. And uh, another aspect of that wisdom is where you've of course already published a book which is Alert Active Alive at 100, and all those aspects that you've written down into it. I'm sure those are the ones which is why you came out fit and fine, and like you said, nutrition, and another thing is which is fitness. You've been always talking about it. So if you could correlate those and tell us how that really helped you, and how it can help all of us to survive through this pandemic and otherwise, of course.
Okay. See, when you go through this and you see people dying next to you, and there's no one else even to talk to you, none of your person or people are there with you, and it's a frightful sort of situation inside. Anybody would crack down. Okay. And you are finally exactly what you think. If my thought says I'm gone, you are actually gone. And there was a time when I had that thought. And it was on the 9th or 10th, 10th day of 9th day before the vitamin D. I wrote my will and sent it to my family. Okay. I said, if I don't come out from here, this is the way you have to take care of the rest of the family. I sent it to my wife.
I I am stunned right now, because and despite that you fought it, and
Okay.
all of you fought it.
So obviously
Amazing.
everyone are going through
But
this.
so what was their reaction? Because I know your family is again as strong as you are, and they've been always with you in whatever you do. How did they really take it?
Yes, my wife was worried. That is the time she collected the whole family together. Before that, she didn't even tell anybody because she had the confidence in my knowledge.
Oh
She had
wow.
the
Okay.
confidence in my attitude. She said, "No, my husband is going to come back at anyway. He knows how to survive." Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, and they were pretty confident, and of course they were very very supporting till that time. Every time they phoned me up, say if you're sick, when your wife phones you up, how are you? What are you going to say? Are you going to tell her you're worsening? No.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
time I used to always say, yes, I'm fine, getting better.
Yeah.
And she was pretty relaxed. This was the time she was a bit shaken. This was the time she collected the whole family together and talked to them. This is what has happened. That means there is some little bit of serious things going on. And then that was the time she was in touch with everyone else. But she still had the confidence, no, he has to come back. He's going to come back.
Yeah.
You know, let me tell you, I'm been born with a defective heart. Okay,
Okay.
at MBBS, though I was in the topmost in the list, medical examination failed me. Professor of medicine told me, my son, he said, you got a defective heart, which is no, and as per our calculations, you are naturally supposed to die by the time you're 30. And you will not tolerate medical science, medical teaching, medical learning. And that was it.
Yeah.
Almost 3-4 months had gone, and till that time, I never got medical fitness certificate to join. It
Yeah.
is at this time I gave a challenge. I don't know how I managed to convince him. Finally, I had to give him a challenge. I said, "Sir, let's run. Okay, you start running." He was 50 years old. You start running and I start running. If I get tired before you, I accept that I'm unfit to become a doctor. But if you get tired before me, you will have to please sign my fitness, say that I'm fit to be a doctor. Okay. And whatever it is, wisdom prevailed. He looked into my eyes for a moment. I was absolutely frightened at that time. I remember those look of his. He took my papers, signed fitness, and gave it to me. Then I joined medical studies. And
And it is such a, I mean, I don't, you made irony turn the other way around, that you're saying you were born with a weak heart, and you're one of the most renowned cardiologists in the country today. So
I've
it
got two
itself.
defective heart, and have not done anything. I have not done any procedure on that till now. No. And I don't think I'm going to do procedures. And I don't think those procedures really prolong your life.
Yes.
And when I talk about the word alert, active, alive at the age of 100, it's a different story.
Yes.
And then when I poured into medical life for a few years, I lost everything. I had a challenge into me that I have to be a good doctor. By the time then I became, but I did my MBBS, did my MD, came out, started the hospital with nothing, with not even paisa in my pocket. I brought it to that level, did whatever Goa did not have, nursing college, paramedical college, lots of things that Goa did not have in 1985. Okay, can you imagine what was the medical and the science at that time? So I've started from that time to the best of time today. So I've gone through, for me, it's a long travel into medical life. So I've seen medical life ups and down. So by the time I was 40 years, one day I felt a little giddy. I just went and saw myself. I was really surprised. I said, yes, I'm not supposed to be living for up to beyond 30 years, and I've not taken any medication. Neither I've shown myself to any doctor, and I'm 40 years. And yes, I am bad. I'm not like a 40-year-old man. I'm like a 60-year-old man. And then I thought myself, what am I doing? I'm a top doctor. I have a confidence that I can cure any disease, and I'm doing it. And what I'm doing for myself. At that time, I thought myself, medical college was teaching us how to treat a disease. Nobody taught us how to stay healthy. And then I went into a research, how do I stay healthy? And then from then onwards, it was a different story. This book I wrote in 10 years back now. And it took me a research of almost about, this is the book you can see. It took me a research of almost 8 years to complete this book. And still every word of it will give you, I would say, sanjeevani to change your lifestyles, to change your way you look, and to give you confidence that you can live a good life God has gifted you. I don't call it a good life. I always say you can live a complete life God has gifted you. It is possible. None of us have to die prematurely. If I can die, if I can survive with the defect for such a long time, I don't think people with normal heart have to ever die prematurely. So 100 years is nothing. All of us can survive. If you just follow a few principles that I have described into this book. I've read this book again and again, and I say, what wisdom did I have at that time to write this book 10 years back? Every word of it is still so true today. I didn't even have to change it. This has gone into fourth edition. I've sold 60,000 copies out of it. This is the fourth edition, and it goes and it stays. So I've given a few videos also. Okay, see, basically it is your unconscious mind that makes you live.
Yes.
Whatever we are is not created by my unconscious mind. Whatever my attitude, my ability to stand, ability to fight, whatever it is, my personality is established in those up to the age of 7, when our brain is in theta waves. That is the time it is established, it is sealed there, and it is just running like a tape. Whatever you are learning is learning outside. You can't change your unconscious mind, so you can't change yourself. And today I have found ways through the scientific ways I've not found, I've studied and researched, studied and got ways how you can exactly reach your unconscious mind and change yourself. And during all this time, I use this on me to make me go through this COVID time with that smile at the end of it.
Truly, so the doctors there also said that when they saw that smile back on your face, which we always see on your face. Every time we meet you, sir, it is evident. And we never knew that this was not the second birth that you got, but the third, because you've already strived to such challenges, and you've come here. You have been influencing and not just inspiring people like us and doctors, of course, to overcome challenges. And like you said, you came up from nothing, and if that is the strength and wisdom that you're fighting, you fought this disease with. I mean, why should anyone in this country even succumb to this disease? I mean, it in itself is so much of confidence building for anyone who's watching this. I can't tell you how much more proud I am that that you are here with us. It is our first episode, and I can't be more happier than having you here, because it's a real story that you are really taking forth to people. And if we can contribute to you writing another book now on maybe your survival and the way you fought COVID, I mean, that will be really a pleasure. We would definitely want to take these learnings forward also, just as the earlier book of yours. But
And I,
having said,
and I don't like that word wisdom. I don't think I'm a wise man.
you are.
Whatever I've done is a pure work, pure study. I've studied the books. I keep on reading. I keep on attending so many conferences. I interact with the world every day. It's now 45 years I've been doing this. And I researched on my own. What I talk about is a pure science. I'm not a wise man. I'm not born a wise man. This is a pure science that I take it. Yes, my pure science tells you we are born to live for 100 years. I've studied the Vedas. I've studied all this. Bhagavad Gita. I think I've read practically most of these books, which give you so much of enthusiasm, so much of encouragement to live a better life. And when you say a better life, it's always a healthier life first. If you're not healthy, the word better cannot come there. Health is first. And health, as you say, is very simple things. Nutrition, you are what you eat. Exercise, the way you exercise. And third is your thought. Just these three things make you complete. All that we have got to do is learn to be perfect I wouldn't say perfect, none of us is perfect. Learn to be as good or as scientific in this as possible. And I don't believe these are wisdom. I also don't accept anything which cannot be proved scientifically. So I'm absolutely pure science, the science man, and every day, unless I research something good, I don't feel sleepy. Then
Yeah.
in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping, I'll find something, I'll get up, make some notes on my WhatsApp, send it to my secretary, and I've told them, if you get something at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the night, please respond. And the
Yeah.
next day, they will come and convert that into a perfect, full-fledged thought. So all that is, the science gives us everything. It's pure science.
Yes.
It is pure science, okay? And I'm a pure scientist. So I don't look at the word wisdom. I am not a wise man. I'm a learned man. I'm a man who's worked hard, who's learned, who tried to
Yeah.
learn more things. I'm a physician. See, as a physician, you have to learn everything. You have to learn your endocrinology. You have to learn your gastroenterology. You have to be perfect in your cardiology. You have to be perfect in your psychology. Okay,
Yes.
all these thoughts need to be there for that perfection. This is exactly what happens. Okay, so I'm not a wise man.
Well, you will keep saying that, and I'll keep disagreeing on it. But yet, having said that, so we spoke. We didn't even realize we're close to 1 hour talking to you. But there are a few questions which have, of course, come to me. And I want to put forth some of them to you. Of course, because some people know that you're one of the leading physicians in the country. People do want to. Some of them want to know that how much are the comorbid conditions, and I know you did speak about it, but comorbid conditions like diabetes and cardiovascular disease, how much more contributing are they towards when you get COVID? I mean, are they really the fright? Also, with that, age is another question. I'm trying to combine two, three questions together. But so these three factors people are asking: diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and age. These are three things. Of course, we all know are seeing that they are the high risk factors. What would you say? Comment about it?
Okay. I would sum up that answer in a very short way.
Yes.
This has been, everybody has been talking about it. Everybody has been using it. Especially the politicians have been using it. No, we had the 500 deaths, but out of those 500, 450 had comorbid condition. This has been a good topic for each of these politicians to find an excuse. But look at this: your diabetes, your age, diabetes, your blood pressure, your stroke, heart problem are all going to kill you. But look at the COVID man. Till I developed COVID, I was a normal man. Then I developed COVID, and in a month's time, I'm gone. I wouldn't blame these diseases. Yes, when you get COVID, your diabetes worsens, your heart problems worsen. Each of these problems worsen. But if there were these problems at this stage today, when I got COVID, and if I can treat them, normally if I had not to get COVID, I would have treated them and you would have lived for another 20 years. So what I would say is, yes, they are contributing. Finally, you're not dying of COVID virus.
Yes.
You're dying of one of the organ failure induced by cytokine storm.
Correct. Yes.
Okay? All
Yes.
that, and the mistake that happens there, who is there inside the COVID hole to treat you? A simple MBBS doctor or a consultant just comes without touching you. He just says hello and disappears.
Yes.
Okay? All that we got to understand as doctors, yes, these problems are going to be worsened, and we need to look at these problems of our patient, and we need to treat them properly. If we do that, all this word, okay, he died because he has a comorbid condition. I don't believe into that word comorbid condition. Diabetics come to me with 400, 500 sugar. Stroke people comes to me. MI people comes to you with heart failure, and you make them live for another 20 years. Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
You're doing it with number of patients. Why not with these patients?
Yes.
It's a problem of 10 days, which gives you a cytokine storm, which can be prevented and which can be treated properly.
Yes.
Don't worry about virus. Virus is going to be dead, whether you use antiviral or no. Virus will die your body will kill virus by day 10.
Yes.
All that you got to do is, and the doctors today know what is cytokine storm very well. We can anticipate cytokine storm coming just with the biochemical parameters. And once you know that, all that you got to do is treat it well.
Yes.
And one of the armamentarium I want these doctors to take it, and I said I want these doctors to take it, is a high dose vitamin C.
Yes.
Please use it and see how fast your patients recover.
Yes.
Vitamin C in that dose is a very strong antioxidant.
Yes.
It's a very strong anti-inflammatory.
Inflammatory, yes.
And it has got a very good action on the virus.
Yes.
And it is an immunomodulator.
Yes.
You're using such a high dose steroid. What is steroid? It's an immunosuppressant. You are just suppressing your immune system. Yes. And this, because when you're suppressing and you're using a very high dose, a lot of other complications occur. Here is a substance, cheap substance, safe substance, which is available to you to modulate your immune system to a normal level. It brings it to a normal level. It did it in my case from a different level to a normal level. And it is doing it in hundreds of the patients. At least there are 10, 12 centers in the country who will vouch by what I am saying.
Yes.
Okay, so if we use this and take care of all these systems properly, we create parameters for us to take care of cardiovascular system well, diabetes well. Even in my case, insulin was used because I'm not a diabetic. Still, the sugar shot up to 300 when such a high dose sugar was being used. So all that we just have to take care. In my case, I was looking after all this system myself.
Yes.
I realized all my systems were failing. Thyroid had failed. Every system has failed. Muscle mass was wasted. I lost 5 kilo weight. As it is, I'm always sort of either normal weight or more on the lesser side of weight.
Yeah.
And I lost 7 kilos, not even 5 kilos, 7 kilos of weight.
Yeah.
Okay. And none of the system functioning properly, which I could monitor myself very well.
Yeah.
So by the time I was being treated for my COVID, I was monitoring and maintaining all my systems well.
Yes.
And this is how it is possible for us to
Yeah.
save each and every one. Because when they walk inside you, they don't have that bad a heart. They don't have that bad kidneys. So
Yeah.
over a period of time, they worsen. So that sentence, I would say, we should scrape that sentence. It's
Yeah.
an excuse for a health minister of a state to say that our death rate is high because my patients are elderly and my patients have comorbid signs and symptoms. These words should be out of my I would say of my vocabulary at least. I don't like to use them. There are a few words I don't like to use in my vocabulary.
So I want to allow me to say a few words on this, what you said right now, because, I'm glad that
Yes.
you put a complete positive spin to the entire fear that we are experiencing. What you said right now gives us so much of hope that, it is possible for us to completely get cured. Of course, keep brave it, but also, doing the right, following the right algorithms and the right nutrition approach can actually really bring us out of this. Another comment I want to make on this is because it was about a couple of months back that I keep giving these talks, but I give very few individual talks, and I did give a talk on oxidation and chronic inflammation, and I spoke about it actually being the very few talks we have seen on these lines, but these are the two notorious underlying factors, and rightly said, vitamin C. And I want to add one more thing. You're one of the stalwarts saying that my father was a part of RS Gadgil was a part of the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, there are drugs which he launched, and they are even today they are market leaders. But he was one who also firmly believed in vitamin C, and he always said 1 to 2 grams of vitamin C is such an essential thing for life, and it is coming true in every walk. So that is something I also keep practicing. But now that you are reiterating it, I just wanted to put this thought together. So people really need to understand the importance of vitamin C. And again, as you specified, the government authorities and the hospitals, if they bring this as a primary, first line of therapy sort of in COVID, then it is really going to create more wonders and more awareness and more trust that you and people like you and we can actually put across. It will be great, like you keep saying. So saying that, just another two questions to before we really let you go for today. But the next question really is that right now people are moving without masks, and they're not testing. More importantly, people are not testing. So what would you like to say to common people, that should they treat this like a common viral infection, or should they take it more seriously? What would be the actually the concluding remarks sort of for them to take away home?
COVID is not like any other flu. If somebody says that, I'm not going to listen to it. Okay, that is number one.
Yeah.
This is one flu. You get a lot of all of us get flu every year, and we don't even do anything. And most of us are okay, or at the most you can get a pneumonia or something, and you can have problem. This is one virus which kills. This is one virus which is killing the saviors. For the first time, you are hearing that doctors are dying. And if you look at the gross-wise population-wise, the deaths are more amongst doctors than the normal person. So this is killing the people. So this is not a simple thing. So we must avoid that. Whatever possible, we must do to avoid it. And a simple thing like a mask, I would say a properly worn, proper mask, I would say is a basic thing that you should do. Keeping social distance is a basic thing we all should do. So this is first thing. Having said this, suppose even if you get COVID, a lot of people today are not interested in getting themselves tested. They say if I'm found and if I have complications, I would go. This is absolutely a wrong thought. You must test yourself as early as possible. And if we can pick you up early and treat you up early, we can save you from going into cytokine storm. Today, I won't talk about saving and preventing a COVID or viral infection. That's why I say I don't believe into even closing lockdown. I won't, you may get it, no problem. But I would work on you to see that you don't go into a cytokine storm. I would prevent you from going into a cytokine storm. After 10 days, you will start improving yourself. This is the way I would take it. You must check yourself, test yourself as early as possible. Test yourself once or twice. You have lovely test available to you. A simple test, it doesn't cost you much. Just test yourself. If you're positive, meet your doctor. Practically every doctor will be able to manage you well today. This knowledge about COVID is not restricted just to a few specialists. Now, your program itself will be seen by thousands and thousands of doctors across. So they will all learn through this, okay? So all of them know it, and check, meet your doctor. Don't have to meet, contact your doctor. Test, prevent as much as you can. If you've got it, test as early as you can. If you're positive, contact your doctor. If you're negative and the symptoms continue, test again or be in touch with your doctor. And today, we can easily say, we can predict who can go into cytokine storm on simple blood test. So it is that easy today. So none of us have to die. And if you are inside, I've given a few things which can, if those doctors do take care of it inside, yes, nobody, I still reiterate that word, none of us should die of COVID and its complications. But testing is a must. Three things here. Testing is a must, whatever you say, according to me. And preventing is a must. If you can't prevent, still forget it. You can still suffer, but not go into a cytokine storm. I don't propose or support lockdown anymore, because that has destroyed our economy. Finally, you need to survive first. I don't think any one of us should go back into lockdown. We have to find ways and means out for this. And second thing is that you have seen for cremation, the way the whole process of cremation has been done today. See, by the time you are 10 days, your virus is dead. By the time you are dead after 20 days, 30 days, 40 days, 50 days, where is the virus inside you? So do you think the process that we follow, the protocol that we follow in carrying on the postmortem of the patient, if not postmortem, the final rites of the patient, is there any rationality in that? I don't know who advocated it, and people are just following it. And nobody has given a thought to it. If my father dies, I want to do proper things on him. We are all religious minded people. Whichever is the religion, every religion respects a dead body. And do a lot of procedures, a lot of things onto a dead body, okay? Right. And I want to do it. And I don't understand why this is this procedure. What is the rationale for this procedure or protocol that is followed today? This is one thought I want people to think about.
But you've really brought the program to an end, beginning from really what precautions you should be taking, to testing, to what should be the algorithms that should be followed inside the hospital before going to the hospital, telling us how we should keep a heart at everything, and that sharing about your prior challenges in life, and the way you've really made us feel positive. Whoever with, like you said, there is nothing like a comorbidity where you've been treating so many metabolic conditions, and the way you've shown a positive light to all of us, and of course culminating the show with even thinking so dearly about because that is one thing people are a lot pained with, that how do we do the last rites, and we don't even get to see the people who unfortunately succumb to this. It is such a wonderful way. So you have really,
I'll start thinking on it.
yes, yes. I mean, I couldn't have even thought of asking you the question, but the way you've taken us through this whole program, I would in fact want you to conclude the program by giving a message to your own fraternity, because you're saying lockdown is not needed, and yeah, it is true, but your fraternity is the one which is at the highest risk. When we say no lockdown, everyone else can probably get away by working from home or doing things online, but your fraternity cannot. You have to have your patients, of course. You can consult patients on the online. I mean, our initiative True Wealth has been helping with that also, but the fact is that you have to see your patients. Surgeons have to see their patients, critical patients have to be seen. So what would be your message to them, and what because they are worried. A lot of them still don't know how they when they could get infected, and they are worried about their own families. So if you could leave us with a message for them, that would be really great.
Well, at the age of 65, I continued with my practice, though government gave a facility. Yes, doctors above 60 are allowed to stop their practice, but youngsters must continue. This is what government of Goa said. It says youngsters must continue because people need you. Okay, but with right thing and the right approach, it's not difficult for us to be feared about this. I had a problem because I was one of those ones whose heart was affected, and I went through such a severe thing. If my heart was not affected, I would have never gone through such a severe situation. Okay, so all of us are not going to go into it. We must stand up to our profession, because our profession now demands a little bit more from us, a little bit more commitment, a little bit more knowledge, a proper knowledge, a little bit more support, and a little bit more courage to the overall population, which is frightened today. The problem today is the fright, the anxiety we have created in the public. And with this fright and anxiety, they can neither develop themselves financially, they can neither develop themselves socially, they can neither develop themselves psychologically. And once the COVID catches them, they just give it up. Okay. As a professional, yes, we are at risk, but we know how to take care of ourselves. Let's use our knowledge for us. For ages, do you know the doctors have never been examined? They've never checked their sugar. They don't check their blood pressure. They just feel they are okay. Now is the time for us to see that all of us have to start taking care of ourselves, put our thought on ourselves. I need to be healthy to take care of my people. So each one of us should think about our own health and our own profession, which needs so much of commitment from us. And when we go ahead with both these things hand in hand, let me tell you, we will all enjoy the profession that we have. It is one of the greatest profession that we have. And today I would say I've been lucky enough to have this, to get this profession onto my hand. And all the doctors, you are all lucky enough, you are all into that noble gap or noble group. All that you got to do is show your nobility, and when you show your nobility, you need to take care of yourself, and you are capable of it. You have the knowledge and you can do it very well today. I don't think we should get ourselves worried about a situation like COVID. It is going to pass off in a few months from now.
So with this show, I can only say one thing, that from my front, of course, the same must be the feeling that people watching have, that, our respect and gratitude for you and your fraternity has only grown. And, with my folded hands, I'm really thankful that you came onto our show today. It's absolutely a privilege. And, you are senior, and you're a mentor to so many of us. We just wish you the best, and we want that smile on your face all the time. And it is infectious. Keep it going for all of us. And I thank you again. I thank the viewers for coming down and always making our programs successful. Yes, our programs have been reaching 20, 25,000 people, and I'm sure we will, of course, drive this program to more than that, and we will reach nook and corners so that people learn out of your experience and your fight, which has just been amazing. So, if you would want to say a thank you, and then I can conclude the show.
Thank you, Rajashri. Thank you so much by giving me this opportunity to reach people. See, I've worked always to give something from my hand to the people. And the people. No one ever pays me for doing all that extra that I do. I've not done it as a part of profession. I've done it from the depth of my heart, as a part, something to be taught to the people of this country, to the people, to the public, so that each one of us have a better health tomorrow. And this action of mine has been there right from the beginning. 1985, when I came onto the practice, I just looked at it. I created what Goa did not have.
Yes.
That time, after in 2010, I was labeled as one of the 50 pathfinders of the Indian healthcare industry, along with men
Yes.
like Devi Shetty, men like Reddy, Pratap Reddy, Naresh Trehan.
Yes.
They have become big financially. I have not become big financially,
Yeah.
but I have definitely given something to the humanity.
Yes. Yes.
Even in a disease like this, I've given that direction. I'm trying to give that direction, give that courage, give that scope, give that positivity to the people, so that the people do not get scared and do not die of a simple disease like this. And if
Yes.
you can take care of such a disease with such a nice smile and enjoy it, you can still easily take care of rest of your health.
Yes.
This is what medical science has taught me, or what I have learned from it. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you, sir. It's been an immense pleasure, and I want to thank one more. I will end the show with thanking the RSD Energia team, because they relentlessly work hard at the back end to take this program to maximum number of people, creating flyers and technologically, of course, taking this to 7 different platforms. So, allow me to just play a small promo of theirs, and that's where we will end the program today.